I thought it was so cool. I got one for Christmas, and then I also got myself one.
I mean,
hey, I'm C.
Like just give me like
the C man.
Give me a. We're gonna take a brief intermission.
Whoa! I did not mean to say that.
I thought it. I manifested that.
I swallowed my ice cube.
Don't die, please.
Show some respect, young man.
Ooh.
See, I call him the D man all the time, and I was like, "What's this?"
I mean, that was appropriate. We just, like have
C
like,
is
great
fine.
humor. We just have great toilet humor. Anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all around the world, we bring you another ripping edition of the Dan vs. D podcast with the initials DVD, as in DVD player. I'm your player, D with 2 E's, and always beside me, on my right, this time, is...
Radio Right. It's Dan with an A-N.
Dan, the man he can, and we also have a guest today. Hey, go ahead, step up to the mic. Tell me who you are.
Hey, I'm Chris.
It's Boston Bro Out. We're going to say 3.
Yes.
Technically 4, because there's a lost recording session that was never published.
Lost episode.
The Tom Brady
We will
episode.
finish
That's
one
right.
day. We will finish that segment.
It's because he unretired.
Yeah.
The Bradying.
Yep.
that should be the title of it, the Bradying.
Yeah. Peek behind the curtain. So somewhere in 2020, we recorded part 1. I think it was intended to be roughly part 1 of 3, because we covered about the first 7 years of Brady's career. That was how far we got in 2 hours.
Oh, it was supposed to be a trilogy?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, like Star Wars. But we never finished it, so that recording, I still have the recording. It was never released.
So you couldn't finish. So you couldn't finish it like the Nasty as I Want to Be album by 2 Live Crew.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's not often that I start listening to an album of just music. I love music. Music is the best thing ever. And not finish it because it was so bad.
I was gonna tell you the other day, like Dick Almighty came on, I think from Random or something, and I listened to it, and it is as bad as it's worse than I remembered.
This was an album here. You'll enjoy this.
The album cover is iconic.
It's this.
What the hell?
Yeah. Also,
no explicit lyrics contained.
Also, wasn't it like the one of the rappers' name was like when you mentioned like the trilogy of Star Wars? Wasn't one of them like Luke the Skywalker or something? What? Yeah, one of the members I think was named Luke or something, or the Skywalker or whatever. What? Yeah,
Luke.
Because I remember, I think that was a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire question.
Oh, Miami legend Uncle Luke.
Yeah, because I remember that was like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire question at one point.
They're an American hip hop group from Miami, Florida, who had its greatest commercial success in the late 80s. Yep. Uncle Luke, Fresh Kid Ice, Mr. Mix, and Brother Marquis. Those are fantastic names.
They are.
Yeah, this is the band that had the problem with the lyrics. People tried to. People go up in arms over the lyrics on that album.
There's sexually explicit content in their songs, particularly on their 1989, that's the year I was born, album, As Nasty as They Want to Be. There you go.
Was this before NWA?
This would have been a year after NWA's first album came out.
And people were up in arms about that album, and then this came on.
Went from the police to this.
Yeah, I mean, sex and violence sells, man. I mean, like Me So Horny, man. And they use in the intro to that track, they use the clip from Full Metal Jacket. Look, no, Scott,
you are so right. You are so right.
Luke
Skywalker with 2 Ys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I remember that, because that was a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire question.
Wow.
Back when Regis Philbin was the host.
Oh man.
And that was like for what, for 125,000 or something.
The crew parody Roy Orbison's "Oh Pretty Woman." Funny.
Also,
and then copyright owners of the original songs, because this was like the era where it was sort of legally dubious to sample.
The Supreme Court got involved. Oh, one of the songs also sampled "Silent Return."
Oh, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. What is that called? It's something.
Voodoo Child.
Yeah, there it is. Yep. Silent Return. Yep.
Also, apparently, George Lucas, the guy, tried to start a record company called Luke Skywalker Records, and George Lucas sued him for appropriating the name Skywalker.
Yeah,
Wow.
I wonder if he ever got in legal trouble with the actual, Star Wars guy.
You don't want to get on that legal road.
Nah.
Wow. The group released an extremely political follow-up album banned in the USA after obtaining permission to use interpolation of Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA.
Ooh. Wow.
Interesting. I bet that would be an interesting song to sample for a rap song.
Man, I've been like sleeping on like their accomplishments and controversies. Man, I just thought they were just known as just the guys that just said a bunch of like sexually explicit stuff on that album.
Yeah. It's mostly that, yeah.
Yeah,
But,
that's what people know them for. But they did other stuff. So
anyway, that's more than you ever wanted to know about Two Live Crew. This is obscure. This is our podcast now, is obscure like 90s alternative music.
I mean, I'm all for it. I love the 90s.
Next, we're going to talk about Green Jello.
It's the best of times.
Green Jello's alive. I hope you know that.
Yeah, and then we're going to talk about Tool.
And also like Flubber. Flubber's green and alive.
Flubber. How about Soylent Green?
Oh my god.
It's people.
Goodness me.
All right. Yeah, we're back.
This is a sports show.
Yeah, we're back and we're doing another one of these wonderful 3-person recording sessions with like a way more professional setup this time.
Oh, I've been waiting to say this. So we're 3 Boston fans here.
Oh yeah.
So you remember that commercial from the ESPN Sports Center when they're trying to come up with the trio name?
That's right. The Three Amigos.
Yep. The Boston 3 Party.
This man's a professional.
But I feel like you guys both have handles, and I don't. Like, can I be maybe like C? Could be D and Dan and C.
Ooh.
I want to have like a ninja name.
Would that be
The CDV.
CD?
CDV.
DCD?
Ooh.
I
Yeah, I don't know.
I definitely want to have a handle.
CDV. CDV is not bad.
CDV.
I don't want to be identified
Man.
for what I'm about to say.
You got to operate under a pseudonym. Yeah, I guess DJs always had like
They do.
Always had like a call sign or whatever.
Tool man.
It'd be like initials, like like that means something like crazy crazy day in vengeance or something like that, or chaotic day in vengeance or something. You have to have an acronym or something that means something.
All right, I'll have to think about it.
I don't know. I have to work on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Are we PG-13?
Sometimes we get R.
These are not tagged. Let me put it this way: these are not tagged explicit on iTunes, but you are allowed to swear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I bleep them. I bleep all the swears.
Oh, well.
I'm just doing buzzes. Bzz, bzz.
I know all the words.
The 7 words you can't say on television.
I know them all. I had that album.
I feel like that's multiplied now.
It is.
Yeah, so we're actually recording a little bit sooner than we normally do, and so we are in the sort of gap week, the gap weekend between the conference championships and the Super Bowl. I think it would be fun to take another look at our bracket and see how fucking wrong we were.
It's like an insulated bracket, just like busted.
Yeah, we couldn't have been more. And again, this, I said this at the time. These were manifesting picks.
Yeah.
And we did not manifest because I guess, I don't know, I didn't want it enough.
It was the refs.
Yeah.
Bad calls.
That's only if it's a Chiefs game, though.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hands off.
I guess that's what everybody says. If you just like stop wanting it so bad, then it just happens, which is horrible advice. But yeah, so this is our regular bracket. So we were very wrong about most things here.
Like we were wrong about the Chargers. Like the Chargers chargered, man.
Yep. So we missed on the Chargers. We got every other first round game correct. Oh, and then we missed on the Vikings. That was bad. We missed on the Chargers and we missed on the Vikings.
Seeing Ghost Part 2.
Yep. We missed on the Lions. That was a bad one because the Lions defense just kind of came apart at the seams.
Because they were all being held on by like duct tape and glue stick, like popsicle sticks with glue, man. They had like what was like you talked about like they had like at least how many 10 guys on
almost their
IRs
entire starting defense was injured, and then they lost more players in that game. I think.
Yeah, and then Jaden just was just like is the truth. So
he is.
Yeah. And also, getting rid of Dan Schneider also really did help, with their workplace morale. So
yeah,
that's a bonus.
And I didn't actually pay that much attention to that game while I was watching it, but the Lions apparently turned the ball over 5 times.
Yeah,
in that game. So you're not going to win that game.
And still, made it interesting.
Yeah. And then the Eagles beat the Commanders. I think we had Detroit beating Philly, so we lost there.
Yeah, and Commanders turned the ball over 4 times.
And then our manifesting pick was the Bills beating Kansas City. We did have the AFC Championship correct in terms of the teams.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that was kind of obvious there.
The Bills literally just can't do anything.
I love my vibe pick about the Ravens crumbling. So
yeah. And then we're wrong because it's the Chiefs and the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Everything is terrible. I don't even really want to watch the game.
I'm gonna watch it because I'm a Neanderthal that likes football.
I'm just gonna watch for the commercials.
Oh, yeah, that too.
And the halftime. Who's the halftime act this year?
Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, okay.
I hope he performs not like us, uncensored.
Oh, no way. They will not let him do that. No way. Or it'll be like the Kids Bop version or something.
I think Drake was trying to silence him so he wouldn't play the song as on because he's complaining about basically Kendrick Lamar hitting him too hard in a battle that he basically I don't know who started, but he actively partook in this.
I was gonna say you definitely can't show up for a boxing match and then get mad when you get punched.
And basically he got no Vaseline or hit him up, choose or Compton, choose your diss track of choice,
But at any rate, yeah, our bracket's destroyed. Everything's terrible. And then our random bracket that had the Steelers in the Super Bowl, we actually did. We still have a chance because the Eagles are alive in that bracket. We picked the Eagles to win 35-5.
That'll never stop being funny to me. The 5.
Yeah, that would be safety.
That would totally be a Steeler thing to do. Honestly, a Steeler game.
Move on to the Patriots. What the fuck, man?
What?
You start. Talk about the Patriots. Tell me about.
Yeah,
we've
Patriots. Already set things ablaze. It's your turn. See
this year's Patriots.
Yeah.
Well, you can go the last 4 years. It'll be the same.
You want to talk about the state of the franchise overall? If you want to talk about,
I do, and I'm going to start from the top.
You can talk about massages.
When Robert Kraft bought the team, he talked a lot then about we're going to because the Patriots before Kraft were not a great team. They had some good years, but
the Sullivan family that owned them.
The Sullivan family owned them, and
Sullivan Stadium.
Yeah, it was Sullivan Stadium.
Wow,
but with the metal bench seats.
Kraft bought the team and wanted to move the team up to one of the elite teams in the league. So he knew he was going to have to do things like build a top-notch stadium and pump money into the team. And he did. He kept all those promises where, he brought in good players. He gave top-notch facility. It was no longer the joke of the league. And it used to be. I mean, I went to a game in Sullivan Stadium when I was a kid and you sat on metal benches.
Ouch.
I mean, it was awful, But the point is, he came in with the promise of dumping a lot of money into the team, and somewhere along the way, I almost feel the opposite thing now. They want to do what so many other teams do, like the owners of the Red Sox now, where they want to have people come in and fill up the seats of the stadium, but not have to write big checks for whatever it is that they need, big players. And it's just, I don't know, it's a self-feeding thing. As I said to Dan earlier today, it's to the point now where some players don't want to come to New England because
it's cold.
Calvin Ridley.
Well, because it's like, well, they're rebuilding and, it's all this kind of stuff.
The nightlife, maybe. I don't know.
And yeah, I just think, I don't know. We were lucky for 20 years to have, top-notch football. And these things are cyclical. And I'm not sure about the statistics of that. But I think if you look back, there's not a lot of teams that dominated. And when I mean dominated is at least have a chance. I read a statistic the other day. It said Brady was never in his career ever started a game being mathematically eliminated from the playoffs.
Wow.
Brady. Never in his the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, because 2002 they missed the playoffs, but they were alive until the very last game of the season.
Right.
Was that when they needed to win and get some help or something? They beat Miami and then other people won and they just couldn't get in. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, back to now. I think they've slipped away from that some now. I think we have a young quarterback now that has some promise. But if they don't bring in an offensive line, he's not going to last long. He just isn't.
Yeah.
So I guess
he's going to get the David Carr.
And you've just seen it. I watch them play now, and it's not the same. They don't have that winning mentality. They look to me like they're asleep. They're sleepwalking. And you can talk about injuries. You can talk about, but I just think that the ownership needs to recommit to the greatness that they had for so long. I really miss now over the last maybe not 4 seasons but over the last 2 seasons. I really miss having meaningful games to watch. In December and January. Yes. And that's what I miss having something on the line and something that I'm going to spend the day in my man cave watching a good game. I miss that they're not. I don't know. I wish the ownership would look higher. It's nice that they build a new lighthouse in the stadium. That's nice, but I would have rather see them spend the money on a wide receiver. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing now. The last game in Old Sullivan Stadium was the Tuck Rule game, and that was sort of like a symbolic shifting of fortune for the franchise because they were always. Throughout history, always on the losing end of those weird controversial calls.
Always. And they always lost in overtime.
Well, we did have the snowplow game.
But that's why we Pats fans, we have a very different perspective on the Tuck Rule game. We're we don't care that was the wrong call because we always got screwed over by those calls. But anyway, and it's Gillette Stadium was a state-of-the-art facility at the time. That was 2002.
Wow.
That's a long time ago. And it really hasn't and again, they're consistently rated as having the worst weight training facilities.
Ew.
They don't have daycare for the families, the players' kids and stuff.
Wait, they have daycare for these teams?
I think a lot of teams do.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I never had no daycare.
Dan dropping knowledge here.
Another fact check.
Wow. That blows my mind. Honestly.
I never had daycare, and I did throw less touchdowns than Brady. But.
NFLPA, the Patriots report card.
F. D- probably.
Treatment. Yeah, here we go.
29th.
Breakdown of key categories. Treatment of families. F. 30th.
Ew.
Food cafeterias halfway. 20th, 20th, 22nd, 32nd in weight room.
Really?
31st in strength coaches. 27th in head coach. Yeah. Treatment of families. F. It is the only one of 12 teams that do not provide a family room during games. So it's not daycare; it's a family room.
That's also
no. They're one of only 4 teams that does not offer either a family room or daycare.
And that's the thing too.
Do not provide support for players' children on game day.
Because that's the thing. That's also that's bad because
that does not cost a lot of money.
And also the thing is, what about safety? With family and stuff, they should have their privacy and safety and stuff because. We live in a world where there's some crazy fans out there.
Yeah, there's this bizarre rash of players' homes being robbed during games now.
Yeah, and stealing rings. Not to mention $75 game jerseys in their gift shop, and I can tell from experience that's too much.
Yeah. Also, how do you get an F for weights. Don't you just buy the weights and then like, okay, hey, lift.
Here you go. The players feel so. For the listeners, this is literally NFLPA.com. This is the New England Patriots report card for 2024. I'm just reading from this page.
I had no idea it was that bad, but yes.
Players feel the quality of the weight room equipment is below average. Players feel like they do not have enough space in the weight room. That's a problem with the stadium facility or wherever they train if it's not in the same building. And then the Patriots are the only team in the NFL where a majority of players feel like the team's facility is worse than places they could train off-site. That is damning as far as I'm concerned.
I know they are building a new building, but I don't know what it is for. I don't know if it's an inside training facility, but they broke ground on it recently. I did see.
Hey, no wonder they were all like, they played soft on the field.
Maybe it's because of the weights. Maybe I was wrong. It's not mindset, it's weights.
I mean, you got to have they didn't have the mindset. They didn't have the weight training. They apparently they didn't have the mental health either because their family can't be taken care of.
This is interesting. So this is the 2024 report card, but this is, I think, covering the 2023 season. So the players feel like Bill Belichick was rarely willing to listen to the locker room. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, like what this. Like you were talking about, like, hey, you want you were talking about
ownership is ranked 27th. So there you go. I think this all kind of backs up what we're saying.
Yeah, but see, you was talking about you want to you want to see a good game and stuff like that. And you want meaningful games in December. Well, even then, like I'm lowering my expectations further here. I just want to have fun when I watch these games. I'm not having fun when I watch these.
All the way back to the first episode, man.
Bingo. Bingo. Quoting you on that one there. Like, I want to have fun on this because, like, we spent all these years winning and stuff, but, like, now it's it's a matter of, yes, we knew that the time was going to come when we weren't going to be dominant anymore. And even then, we weren't, like, the absolute dominant because, like, it took us, like, from, like, the first dynasty of those three Super Bowls, we went 10 years before winning the next, starting that second era of winning that second dynasty.
They were good that whole time, though. They made the playoffs like every year, and they played in several Super Bowls and then just got spagsed.
Yeah, so we weren't like Chiefs unsufferable because they're like, okay, we're like AFC Championship game or Super Bowl almost every year. So we weren't that. So people forget that we had like a 10-year hiatus in like winning a Super Bowl.
So I was going to point this out. It's not germane to this segment. So Michael Jordan won his first ring at age 28. So he was in the league for 7 years or something before that.
Yeah, those Bulls teams were bad.
Patrick Mahomes is in his age 29 season. He's about to win his fourth. He has, as a starter, he became the starting quarterback in 2018. He has never finished worse than an AFC Championship game loss.
Also, here's the thing too, like give him a mulligan year. But Jordan didn't have a mulligan year because he started right away.
Yeah.
He was redshirted.
He sat his entire rookie season, which in retrospect probably shouldn't have, but
no, I honestly I don't think that was bad because the thing was the Chiefs already had a decent structured team, but sometimes how many quarterbacks have we seen we wish could like sit and learn?
Yeah.
You absorb a lot when you watch by example.
That's what they tried to do with Drake May this year, and then they just couldn't.
Well, because like, I saw because every game I saw like Jacoby Brissett getting killed out there.
98 passing yards.
Yeah, that was terrible. No offensive line. No
offensive line.
I believe you have to start there.
They weren't even like they were barely like XF now it's UFL quality. That was not a NFL like. That was not an NFL rated roster in terms of like that line. The only one was David Andrews. I hated that he wasted another year there, and he had a season-ending injury.
Yeah.
So he died on the field for this crappy line.
Yeah. So hasn't been the same since Dante Sarnicchia retired.
Oh my God.
True. Yeah.
Didn't
he was the freaking magician.
Did he retire once and then he unretired when the online fell to shit?
Yeah, they begged him to come back for like 2 more years.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess he probably woke up with a horse head in his bed.
And he doesn't own a horse.
There's this whole thing, but I just want to because tell me, which game did you watch
I watched like 2 games this year.
Yeah, out of the games you watched,
I barely paid attention.
Yeah, out of the games like we've all watched this season, like and you probably seen more games that both me and Dan combined have seen. But the most fun one was like the Bills game, like the first go round.
Yeah,
because like
that was a good game.
They fought, like, and they fought hard and played hard like for the whole 60 minutes. But other than like that outlier. What game was fun to watch with this team?
The first game of the season. Who was that against?
Cincy.
I think Cincy, yeah, they beat Cincinnati.
Even
they went on the road to
slog.
Cincinnati, and it was a scrappy game. Though I watched it, and I was thinking, okay,
yeah,
they're toughing it out, hard running game, and they did just enough offensively to win. They had good, tough defense, and they pulled it out in the end. And I thought, all right, tough game on the road to open the season. I could see where this could have been an easy loss, and then they threw out 3 freaking games like in a row. I was like, what?
After that,
what happened?
Didn't look prepared.
Yeah,
at all. And anyway, and I don't know. I said coaching is definitely a part of that. They just seem to me. I didn't watch a lot of games this year, but I watched a few. And what I normally would do this year is I record the games. And then I usually actually sit down to watch it, maybe 45 minutes in so I could skip over the commercial.
Wait, you got TiVo?
Well, I got, it's
remember that?
It's like a DVR, I guess. But so many times I would go to sit down and watch it, and I would catch the score. I'm like, oh my God, they're down by 3 touchdowns. And it's like 8 minutes into the game, I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time sitting in front of the TV while they watch that. Yeah. So essentially, I watched maybe 5 or 6 games the whole season. It was terrible. It was just terrible. But it was. There's something about watching a game and somebody loses and you can just see they're just like fighting like to the end. That's very different than what I witnessed.
Yeah.
And it did. They looked like they were sleepwalking. It looked like they were like not motivated. And later, after the season was over, a lot of this came out from the players themselves. There was a lot of reporting that, the locker room was bad. There wasn't a lot of like leadership in the locker room.
They didn't have to say that. You could see it on the field.
You could see it on how it translated into the field. And regardless, and I'm speaking from somebody who was a leader when I was in the military. And when stuff like that goes down, it is on the leader's shoulders.
Yeah.
So I put it on the coach. I admired him when he was a player.
Great player.
Great player.
Career was cut a little bit short because of the injuries he took.
Right. Gerard Mayo was a beast. in that line.
With a B, capital B.
But I don't think he was cut out for the job, and I don't know as a former player if maybe he was trying to, people have different styles of leadership. Maybe he was trying to buddy up to his players, or I don't really know that part of it, but it sure looked like they weren't motivated.
The thing is, he could still be a good coach someday. Just to say that, I just want to really, really hammer home yet again how weird the situation that led him to get the job was.
Yes.
That he wasn't really ever hired. He was, he was on the coaching staff. He was on Bill's coaching staff, right?
It was a promotion.
And was a rising star on Bill's coaching staff. And there were rumblings that other teams wanted to hire him away. And Kraft was like, no, man, he's our rising star. We got to keep him. So they kept him by writing into his contract that whenever Bill left, he would just become the head coach.
I mean, if I'm Mayo, I'm definitely taking that deal.
Oh yeah, you absolutely are.
That's a pay increase and a half.
Yeah. But my point is, no other team does like this. It's only the Patriots, and it's weird.
They could have had variable last year.
All the weirdness with Elliott Wolf, where he's not the GM, and then he kind of is.
He gotta
and then
go.
He's running the draft.
He gotta go.
And then anyway, so my point is, and I think genuinely they expected Bill to stay longer, but the 2023 season was so bad that Kraft really had no choice but to fire him, and he was fired. That was not a mutual parting of ways. He was fired.
But that's what they said.
You're right. Yeah, the whole thing is weird, and again, Mayo could be a good coach someday. I don't think he's bad or not, not cut out for the profession. It's just he was put in a bad position and wasn't ready. Very clearly, was not ready for it. To your point,
Yeah, like I quote the greatest British bacon show. He was severely underbaked.
Underbaked. Yes, that's actually perfect.
You know,
he was underbaked.
What they should have done was they should have held the mayo.
Oh, I knew that was. Oh, I knew that was coming.
Put some seasonings on it. You know, their marinade.
Yes, but I have high hopes for the new coach.
High hopes.
Last year, when they were talking about a coach, I didn't realize at the time, and most people didn't, that Mayo was under contract to be the next guy. They kind of made some noise about looking around for another coaches that were available.
They didn't even have a coaching search.
No, but I just in my mind I thought Vrabel is not, he's not coaching right now, and I like the job he did at Tennessee.
That was in itself, like, he is like a Tennessee legend just from the sum of the parts. Yes, you had Henry, and then you had AJ Brown for a little bit and stuff like that. And Tannehill
did more with less.
And Tannehill like was decent when he wasn't like spontaneously combusting. But in general, he took that team and they took them elevated from here to here.
Right.
They went to an AFC championship game and actually was winning by 10 points against the Chiefs.
And really, his job got screwed over by the GM trading AJ Brown.
Right.
You see, the clip when he was just like frustrated in the war room.
Yep.
Yeah, and they never said either what the leadership of Tennessee. They never really said why they got rid of Vrabel. It was kind of just like, well, there wasn't a lot of like back and forth, or I guess hard feelings, or maybe it was as much on him as on them. But Vrabel is a beast, and I think as a New England alum, that really, I mean, he was great defensive player, and
and the most efficient receiver in NFL history.
Most efficient receiver in NFL history. And everybody knew he was going to get the ball. Everyone knew he was going to go. When he came in the game, you had to report eligible. Everybody knew, but
he was on Travis Kelce in the end zone.
If they lose a game this year, he's not going to be back in the game in the plane playing cards with the players. He's not. And
anyone could be Mike Tomlin.
And I heard a quote the other day, and they a player that was coached by Vrabel, and they said he's a very inspiring leader, and he's not going to give a about your feelings.
So basically, Bill.
Well, I mean, there's a time.
Players coach Bill.
Again, as in the military, I'm a military man. There are times when you have to be a disciplinarian, and you have to be somebody who's tough and inspiring. Inspiring most. Good leaders, people will run off a cliff for you.
Yes, and
if you're a good leader,
and also they will be in charge of assigning accountability.
Yes,
accountability. It feels like that's what was. I think that was the biggest thing that was missing from this year. It just seemed like no one was held accountable.
No,
it's like when things get bad, you try to address it and make sure they don't get worse. It's like it got worse and worse and worse. And at that point, you see, okay, yeah. No accountability is being taken here.
Right. Remember the player, Dan, who he had a brief stint with the Patriots. He was a running back. I think he ran like 200 and something yards in a game.
Beat the Colts.
4 or 5
Beat the Colts, right? And then it was late for
on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Number 35 is all I remember. I do not remember his name.
You remember his name?
And I don't.
Really hard
it was like McDonald. No, it's
Jonas Gray.
Jonas Gray. That wasn't even close to McDonald. Why did I think it was McDonald?
If you remember too, if you were playing fantasy around that time, he was everybody's hot waiver pickup.
That's right. Pick him up that week, and then he was late for a meeting, and he said, "Well, I was tired from scoring so many touchdowns."
He was probably scoring touchdowns off the field.
Well, and that's fine. But anyway, and then he was essentially benched, and did he play another down for the Patriots?
I think they cut him like not long after that.
Right.
And then remember Malcolm Butler was benched in the Super Bowl because of
that was weird.
Yeah, and
we never found out what happened.
Right. And I know
the chip.
I don't agree with everything Belichick
Bill literally burned up a Super Bowl ring
to prove a point
to one of his players.
Right. And well,
and he went to play with Tennessee, I think, a year or so after that.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
And then came back at the very end.
yes.
Wow, really? Oh.
But I do think coaches like that, I think, if nothing else, they didn't win all those games and have all that success without inspiring young people.
And here's something too that was weird. Like, and I've watched like some Patriots podcasts from associated with like NBC, Boston and all that. Like, I think it was like guys like Curran or whoever. Like those guys are talking like they. Because I know, like, in one of the on the panels, like, Ted Johnson is on there, and I think they got Brian Hoyer on there now. But like, one of the things was like they examined a soundbite, when they asked Mayo about like, hey, you think you should like drop some more like run play, some quarterback design runs and stuff, and he essentially like threw his offensive coordinator Van Pelt under the bus. It's like, you said it, I didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like he had these sound bites of just like, you can't say that, man. You can't.
Well, he also I believe it was Mayo had the bizarre quote about how Van Pelt was going to be the quote head coach of the offense, unquote.
Oh,
Just a weird thing for the head coach to say.
Remember, we're going to open up the checkbook, and they didn't.
We're going to burn in cash. We're going to burn cash. Yeah, they burn cash, all right.
Hey, burning cash is better use of your time and money than like gambling.
It's true. Yeah. Gambling. If it hasn't been clear up until now, the official stance of the Dan versus D podcast is gambling. Do not gamble. Do not give these people your money. They are bad people. Do not patronize their fucking businesses.
I mean, I will say like,
I'd be willing to bet on that.
But I mean, like, do what you want to do, but understand, don't go in it thinking that you're going to win big because it's designed for you not to win.
No, don't give like predatory people your fucking money. Don't do it.
And if you win, it's going to be heavily taxed based off of your state.
You can tell I'm kind of passionate about this.
And also, if you're like me, who's had some gambling moments of like my gambling history, my wagering histories have not been good. They resulted in me losing $1 due to the flying, my wife knowing about the flying spaghetti monster. I lost that bet to Dan. I wagered that Carolina would beat Duke, and the loser would win the winning team's T-shirt all day for a high school day. Guess who lost that one? So I am not going to no FanDuel or DraftKings or anything like that because I will certainly lose money.
I want to say my ex-girlfriend and I like bet dinner over the outcome of the fantasy matchup. I think happened at some point.
Really?
I feel like I referenced that in a very early episode.
Oh, that's kind of dope, actually. Because at least
I don't even remember who won.
At least people are getting fed, though. Like
that's something. Yeah. Friendly bets are one thing, but I'm talking like again, like the apps that are like designed to be addictive. They literally have algorithms that identify problem gamblers and like send them more offers and discounts.
Yep.
Ew.
Yes.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
The whole thing is
double your wager if you win your first bet.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Anyway,
remember, it's always stacked towards the house. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why casinos are big and beautiful and marble and fountains and all that shit. That's you paid for all that.
You will literally never be smarter about sports or know more about sports than Vegas does. Ever.
But my parlays, Dan.
Honestly, just watch the movie Uncut Gems. If you want to see a very, very realistic portrayal of like gambling addiction and what it does to you, watch that movie. That is the best movie that Adam Sandler's ever made.
I've seen it halfway.
It's a great movie.
So I got to finish that. So
although it's very depressing.
I bet the Patriots will win 9 games this year.
That's a bold statement.
Sorry.
I mean, I'll give you 6, but 9?
Nah. 9. 17 games?
I think they're going to win 69 games this year.
Oh. Mathematically impossible. Does that count like their practice scrimmages?
Yeah, no. That's how many passing yards they'll have per game.
Like they'll be like so bad they lose to their scout team or something. Like, and then they'll like be like the Team USA like with John Daly and just erase the score before the reporters can go see it.
But okay, so the one final point that I think we can maybe end on like a mildly hopeful note is okay. They have a quarterback, right?
They got that.
I think we
could
all
have had Jaden Daniels.
They made the right choice. Actually, no, they couldn't have because he was drafted the pick before them.
Yeah.
Huh?
Daniels was drafted second.
But they also won like I think one game too many towards
They
the
did,
end
yeah.
that bopped them down to 3. So they've been throwing away higher draft picks the last couple of years.
But I mean, let's be honest. I think they would have gone up to 1, and they probably would have taken Caleb Williams. So who knows? Anyway,
Wow.
So mildly hopeful note. So they have a quarterback, and I think an underrated move is that they brought Josh McDaniels back. This is now his 3rd stint as the Patriots offensive coordinator.
He needs to be Patriot for life and don't ever be a coach ever again, head coach ever again.
This is like the kid that like graduates high school and then just like keeps losing their job and moving home over and over again. Like he just can't. It's like failure to launch. He just cannot ever be successful anywhere else.
That Raiders stint was a disaster.
Yeah,
at least
the Broncos stint was a disaster.
Because he drafted Tebow. Yep. At least he won a playoff game. Because I don't think the Raiders even did that.
Tebow 316.
Oh my gosh, is that like a new like Bible like verse?
No, because Tebow, the outspoken Christian guy, threw for 316 passing yards in that playoff game.
Thank you, Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's pour one out for the late Demaryius Thomas, who was an absolute beast and spent his whole career either making bad quarterbacks look good, or catching passes from Peyton Manning, which isn't a bad way to live out your life.
And playing his last years with the Patriots.
He went to the Patriots training camp at the very
he didn't
end.
actually play. Right?
I don't think he made the team.
He decided to retire like during training camp.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's happened to several players. Several big name players came to the Patriots.
They brought in Hainsworth at the very end, and same thing. Yeah, I don't even think he made it.
Hainsworth got lazy.
Chad Johnson. Chad Johnson.
Chad Johnson.
Ocho Cinco
just didn't like get on the field and
Lynch
because he wasn't like great enough.
Lynch
was in camp with the Patriots.
Lynch was in camp, and then he decided, I think
it was Marshawn. Yeah,
Marshawn was it? What?
No. Lynch, the guy that now is the
John Lynch.
John Lynch.
Oh man,
I'm sorry.
Denver's general manager.
Yeah,
wasn't Tim Dwight on their team like in 09 or something?
He was towards the end.
So what does that say about Patriots training camp? At least under Belichick,
it's like Asian Bears. I'm like,
I don't want to play this.
Yeah, I can't do this, man. I
can't hack it here anymore.
I ain't got the stuff like these guys are. They can endure this punishment. I can't. I'm going home.
Yeah. So I mean, there's definitely a chance that I think this coming season is going to be better. And I mean, I think now the primary concern is Elliott Wolf, who really is not. Again, he's made the one good pick. He drafted a quarterback, but he was the obvious pick at that point. Where this is sort of Ryan Grigson territory, where he kept his job because he drafted Andrew Luck and then did literally nothing else right the entire rest of his tenure with the Colts and ruined Andrew Luck's career.
Yeah, so because of no offensive line.
That's the worst case scenario of this.
Yep.
And that remains to be seen whether that will happen or not.
Get a line.
And we'll have to see. I guess we have the draft coming up in a couple months here, so we'll see what happens, who they pick. But almost none of the players last year were good.
The only guy that's really good on our offense right now is you got Drake May,
Pop Douglas.
Yeah, Pop is good. I was gonna say Pop Douglas is the only skilled position player that we have, and then even Ramondre is good, but he also took a step.
Ramondre was good.
He took a step back
at this point. Ramondre might be cooked.
He's not good. The thing is he's having the Stephen Ridley thing going on. He's good when he hangs on to the football. When you give him the rock and he secures it. He is one of the best. He is at least he's at least I would say a top 15 running back. But his value is down. It goes down when he drops the ball. He puts the ball down way too many times than he needs to, and those fumbles get lost, and that costs us games and stuff like that.
Maybe
that's why Bill had couldn't trust him originally when he was a rookie. He sat him down for 6 straight games or something because he fumbled the ball, and now you got a guy that's okay, who's more lenient about turnovers. This is what you get. Maybe you don't put him accountable. Go ahead.
Maybe he needs to do what they did with Tiki Barber back in the day, who had tons of fumbling issues early in his career. So they taught him to hold the ball basically tucked against his shoulder
Right.
If you see images of him, like when he was rushing for 1,600 yards and shit later on, he would hold the ball like up against his shoulder just about, and it was to stop his fumbling issues.
I think that was the one they asked him. They told him to hand it to the official too. Whenever he scored, walk over and hand the ball to the official.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was something. They had this whole regimen like for him. So like ball control was 100% in his mind. You're never, even after you score a touchdown, you don't throw it down. You walk over and hand it to the official. I remember that. So what do you guys think is what is the benefit of not the Patriots or really any team not like going out and hiring a real general manager, like somebody who's well experienced at it? Is it because you think they want to turn all this power over to the coach? Or like what? I don't understand what
they need a legit GM.
It goes back to what I said earlier about Kraft almost going on the cheap.
You can't cheap out anymore.
So
you can't. You don't have a an all pro goat of a quarterback to bail you out now.
Yeah,
which covered a lot of deficiencies.
Yes. So Elliott Wolf was in the Packers front office, I guess, for a while, and then at some point came to the Patriots, and that's his pedigree. Is he was on those, he was helping build those like great Packers teams
that made the Super Bowl like once in 2010.
But they were good. They were good every year.
Yeah.
Even when Aaron Rodgers kind of sucked. But yeah, and it's like he just hasn't had a great track record. And then again, like Mayo, the circumstances around which he got the job are just strange. Like
Cole Strange?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
No.
Could have fell to you guys.
Yeah.
God.
So yeah, it's just weird. The whole thing is weird. And why couldn't they look at look at how amazingly well the Lions front office has, what an amazing job they've done with just almost like Bill used to do, drafting players that have specific skills and then putting them in positions that maximize those skills.
Yeah, but who else doing the maximizing? This goes back to your point, C. The head coach.
Yeah, Dan
Name
Campbell.
a guy who has more cojones than that guy.
I want to say something else about Dan Campbell that we didn't say last time that really makes me kind of admire him, is that he was very honest with his players. Because I think the stereotype is especially for somebody like him, coaches will come in and really try to pump you up, and after you lose, oh man, we'll get him next time or whatever. But he, they lost that game to the 49ers, and he went to the locker room and told his players, "Look, guys, I'll be honest with you, we may not get back here."
Ouch.
And
so hard to win.
It doesn't mean don't try, but I was like, you know what, that's a tough thing to have to tell your players, but it's true. They may not, and they didn't this year, so everybody assumed they would.
That's how I felt about side note. That's how my wife and I, we'll talk sports and stuff, and she was saying about when Cincy fell short and stuff. She's talking about they can come back next year, and I was telling her too, yes, it is possible, but I've seen a lot of teams, get as far as they did or get far and stuff, but never make it back.
Right.
And I thought that was their one chance to immortality. And then look where they are now. They finished the season with a historically bad defense.
Yeah.
Right. And just what I said, one injury can turn the whole thing, too, right?
It wasn't,
man.
Remind me, didn't Dan Marino never even play in a Super Bowl?
He played in a Super Bowl.
He played in a Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers.
That was his rookie year, right?
It was early in his career. Early 1980s. I watched the game.
84, maybe?
Yeah, but he went up against a great team. That was
a buzzsaw.
And the thing, I don't think he ever played in another one his entire rest of his career.
No, and I still have people tell me Dan Marino, hands down, was the greatest quarterback to ever play. I mean, I know that's a whole other side argument, but
Dude can
I don't
sling
really
it.
know.
He can sling it though.
Oh, Dan Marino was great.
I feared playing against him when I was like a kid watching it. I knew we can't with that guy.
He was a Patriot killer. He had his best games against New England, even when they were starting to get
fake
better.
spike.
I hated Dan Marino.
But that was
It's worth noting his 1984 season. He threw 48 touchdowns in an era where 25 would win you an MVP.
Right.
So
yeah.
there is that.
Yeah.
But
he had a good squad around too. So
the great ones, you have to have some hardware on the shelf to show to people, I think. I think in the end, because
that is true.
You have to have some hardware.
But Dan Marino is still a legend on his own.
Regular season or Super Bowl MVPs. Oh,
but Dan Marino's a legend, though.
Yeah. Anything else on the Patriots?
please be fun again. I want to watch your games. Like here's what's sad
I think
about
there's
everything.
a high chance of that happening with Drake May.
I hope
honestly.
so.
I do.
I hope so. But I also thought this Drake Mayo. If you like, send
I
that
hate
dish
it.
back.
Hate it.
Yeah,
No, I
But-
hate it. Mayo has Drake May has promise. He looks
Yeah.
good.
North
He made a
Carolina's
lot
own.
of tough throws.
Mhm.
You know, and I watched him. I was like, man,
got a
for
great arm.
a rookie,
Got a
he looks
great
pretty
arm.
good for a rookie.
But-
Some of those long touchdowns he threw. Whew.
Yes.
And I'm a very strong proponent of not necessarily starting him right away. You know, I mean, like Brady sat
yeah.
for a year and a half. Or whatever it was.
I wanted that too, but it just it wasn't
But-
gonna work
I think he's earned his right
Yeah.
to lead the team now.
easily. But
Yes.
but like I want this team to be fun again. The most fun I had was when when my wife and I watched our respective teams, Patriots and Titans, you know, basically take turns giving the game to each other.
Yeah.
Like we had fun watching to see who would suck less, the least.
Gotta hand it to Lil Wevis.
No, he wasn't even playing that game. It was Rude, Mason Rudolph.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
if we were at a and watched the first half.
Wow. Oh, man.
In public, and we're like, and whenever they missed a field goal through an interception, I'm like, woo, yeah, let's go, let's get that pick. But please, please make watching football games fun again, please.
Yes.
football fun again.
I'm all for that.
There you go.
What is that? That's
A toss to Edelman.
Muffa?
A toss to Edelman. Amendola's down there.
Phelan's down there.
Phelan's down there.
No, he got it.
That was in the Baltimore game. That was when they came back. From
Yeah.
That was one of the greatest games ever played. I just want to say that. I'm sorry.
It was
It was
pretty
awesome.
good.
It was one of the best.
That was the same game the guy threw the flag into the stands.
No.
No?
The flag in the stands was 07 when they beat Baltimore to keep the undefeated season alive. That was Bart Scott.
Oh, that's right. 15 yards, player threw the flag.
Yeah,
into
Bart
the
Scott did
stands.
get his revenge years later. Can't wait. He did Can't Wait.
Yeah.
And then someone else blew their nose with the flag and
Something
threw
like
it
that.
down,
Yeah,
too.
yeah. But there was but the Baltimore playoff game against the Flacco team in 15 was also the game where they had the Alabama package that pissed off the Ravens, where they had one of the linemen, they had 4 linemen, and then the 5th lineman declared as eligible. And they had to, that was another one where Bill probably had that in his notebook for like 10 years and then just pulled it out in a random playoff game, knowing that offseason they would change the rule.
Harbaugh was pissed.
That's what I was saying the other day. C and I were talking about this the other day, that I think guys like Belichick probably had somebody on staff whose entire job was just reading the NFL rulebook and trying to find loopholes.
I believe it. I believe it. They were very good at all that stuff. And who knows the game better than him?
Hey, one of my favorite strategic moves, the intentional safety against Denver.
They won that game.
Or the
It was 03.
the game we went to, the
Drop kick, extra point. Yep.
I want to go on record to say I was right there in front of the drop
Yeah,
kick.
C and I are in the video. We're in the NFL Films video.
On YouTube. So if you want to see what I look like, pull up the video. Flutie's drop kick, and I'm there to the right.
Spoiler alert, he looks like 3 blue pixels.
3 blue pixels. They were cheerleaders right in front of us,
Yeah.
performing. And several times during the game, Dan had to said something about the game, and I was like, "Game? What game?" There were cheerleaders there.
Yeah.
I didn't want them to feel bad.
Yeah. There was a lot of snow, too.
Man,
We were throwing Matt Castle through a potentially game-tying touchdown, and we threw the snow in the air like that one game where they beat Miami 9-3, and Teddy Bruschi kneed his way into the end zone.
oh man,
falling down.
just glides in there.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Anyway.
That's my one of my
That's
favorite
right.
moments
And as the
there.
players were running off the field,
Also,
one player ran over to us and took off his game glove and threw it up into the stands.
Yeah, we
and I
got a-
grabbed it.
We got a lineman's glove.
We have a lineman's glove.
that is
he was a
dope.
He was a fullback. I don't remember who that was. We have to look up who was the fullback on
Yeah.
Ooh,
on the Patriots
know.
team in 2000, whatever that was.
That was the 06 Patriots.
06.
No, I'm sorry, the 05 Patriots.
Yeah. Anyway,
That was the
fullback.
Team. Yeah, that was the Ben
no.
Watson chasing down Champ Bailey team.
Oh, that was dope.
But yeah, okay, cool.
The blue pixels also is was that Mad 94?
Yeah. John, I do have, by the way, I own a cartridge. I think it's a Sega Genesis cartridge that is just John Madden football. It's the original.
Oh, there was this thing on this thing called High Score when they talked about like, video game history and stuff. And one of the things was like they when they were trying to make a football game like as a way to for Sega to rise to prominence over Nintendo, they're like, yeah, we need to get marquee like sports games, and them like going to like John Madden to get his blessing and endorsement, and they're like they came to him like, yeah, here's a 7-on-7 game. He's like, no, this has to be 11 on 11.
Yep,
and it was like, this is gonna be hard to code, but we have to do this. Yep. Or else we don't get John Madden's name.
I maintain that like the OG Xbox era, which would have been like Madden like 01 through 06.
06 definitely, especially when it went to that 360.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
The graphics.
No. Madden like 06 on the original Xbox was the best one.
That one was good, but like a good friend of mine, had a 360, and that's when that Madden first was on that 360. Ooh, them graphics, man! I cannot undersell that. Like maybe the original Xbox one to you is like was the Supreme one, but like the graphics when it jumped to the 360.
I won't argue on graphics, but just something about the gameplay, because I tried playing it on the 360 and I just did not like the gameplay at all.
Too many buttons.
Speaking of how it feels to chew 5 gum, guess what NBA team is 19 and a half games back in their conference right now?
The Hornets?
That would be 25. The Philadelphia 76ers, Dan.
Oh, yes. That's a 40% winning percentage. They're 9-14 at home. They're 10-14 on the road. So they're equally at home and on the road. They have let me see. They have a net minus 3-point differential, so they just on average score fewer than they allow.
Hey, can I do an addendum real quick? I want to do this in advance. Sorry, Dad. My dad being a 76ers fan, so we apologize that we're about to rip this team a new one here because this was a long time coming. So, anyways, on to Dan.
So a long time ago. Galaxy far.
Just gotta say it.
The legend of the hammer and how it began to grow.
Ooh, hammer time.
And he put on. And he put on the magical shoes.
First, he took them out of the bag.
No. God. So, okay. I think I did this joke in a previous episode, so I'm not going to start with the Big Bang. But so there's an NBA franchise called the Philadelphia 76ers. It's a very historically, I would say, star-crossed franchise, right? They had Dr. J. They had Dr. J in the 70s. They've had some moments over the years.
Had Barkley before he became the Barkley.
They did. Mm-hmm. I guess he was most famous on the Suns, right?
Yeah, the round mound rebound.
Yeah.
Did you hear about when he was trying before he got drafted? He wanted to make sure the Sixers did not draft him. So in one day he just engorged himself with all this food to make sure that he gained a bunch of weight because they were if you were
have a fat weigh-in like the opposite of a boxer.
Yeah, because they were if he's this weight here, we won't draft him.
Wow.
And he did all that, and then they drafted him anyway when he was still even if he went all that effort to be overweight.
That's impressive. Wow. But anyway, so this saga has been well covered on this show, but I just want to recap a little.
Sure, it's probably what started this whole podcast.
It kind of I think we owe this podcast's existence.
Patriots.
Just a peek behind the curtain. We owe this podcast's existence to Colin Kaepernick.
Ooh.
Because Dee and I had a series of very, I would say, long and involved conversations about Cap.
And productive ones, too.
Yeah, very much so. And I think we were mostly in agreement because, most of the show is just us agreeing with each other.
But also, unlike the rest of the world at that time, that was pretty polarizing.
But, a lot of long conversations about that. And that is genuinely, Dee said to me one day, dude, we should just, record this. And that's why I joke that we've actually been doing this podcast since 2008. It's just we started recording it at some point.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Hot mic.
Yeah. Only you need one mic.
Nas.
So the 76ers, I want to say it was probably 13 that they hired Sam Hinkie. And we do. This is great. We get to organically talk about Sam Hinkie again instead of just kind of like bringing him up as a joke.
Shout out to Sam Hinkie, our hero.
Yeah, he's our mascot. Maybe I'll bring out that old the Great Prophet picture and make that like a custom art for this episode.
You got that right.
Anyway,
go for it.
So they hired him, and so his whole idea, and this was like a very new age kind of like mathematical, because he was not like his background was not basketball, sort of like not unlike Daryl Morey, who same thing, like his background was in like business.
Yeah,
and he like broke into basketball at one point. Yeah, so he came into the NBA with this very like, like analytical Wall Street, kind of like mindset of like, hey, you're really, and I mean, the like basis of this idea is not, I don't think is incorrect necessarily, but from the standpoint of, okay, if the most important thing is winning a title in the NBA, we've covered this well, that the shortcut to winning a title is having a superstar, having basically one of the best 5 players in the league, right?
Or if you're lucky, get like a big 3 and then like have each of those 3 know their role. Either have one the big star, one being the Robin to the Batman, and then one that does the dirty work and can like get 30 at a moment's notice when you're not looking.
Right.
Shout out to the big 3 of Bosh, Wade, and James.
Yeah, but even then, LeBron was like probably the second or first best player in the league. So
yeah,
and that was his team.
Yeah,
like
But you got everybody has to have a Chris Bosh. So
yeah, and Chris Bosh really did take a step back to like let the other guys shine. Anyway,
yeah.
And that's why it was so rare. We covered this on our first episode back when we talked about the Celtics. Like the Celtics have Jason Tatum, who's like, I don't know, somewhere top 8, top 6, but not top 3, top 5, right?
He's like, still elite though.
He's like 6 through 8. That's kind of where he is in terms of like the NBA's like top player pecking order.
Does that still count as elite?
Yeah, I'd say elite. I'd say top 10 is elite.
Yeah.
But, the rest of the supporting cast, 2 through 10 is just so much better than everybody else's 2 through 10 that it just didn't matter. And they just destroyed everybody.
And like Brown, like 1B.
Yes. Yeah. Brown, and Brown's like top 20,
Yeah.
But then they have other guys that are all in like the top 30, top 40. So, so anyway, but it's rare. It's rare for a team with not one of those top 5 players to win. You don't have a LeBron, you don't have a Jordan, you don't have a Jokic, you don't have a Kobe, whatever. And so, Sam Hinkie's idea was, okay, well, how do you get one of these players? We're the 76ers. We're not going to sign him in free agency. So we have to get high draft picks and we have to just take swings on superstars over and over and over until we find one.
In a lottery system. So having the worst record in the league does not guarantee you a number 1 pick, unlike other sports.
It does not, but crucially,
you could be in the bottom 6 anyway, right? 6?
Anybody who doesn't make the playoffs is in the lottery, but the odds increase the lower you get.
Okay. I mean, because
and at the time,
I see. Okay.
The bottom team, the worst record, had the highest chance. It was like 30-something%, if I remember right.
But that's not a guarantee, because remember what one year when the Bulls were like the 8th worst team in the league and got Derrick Rose.
Yep.
Somehow.
Well, no, it's funny because this happens to me nerd moment, when I play Magic the Gathering all the time.
TG.
So in Magic, typically, the short version is to like play cards in Magic, you need lands. Which which are like energy or currency or whatever that you use to pay to play other cards.
To play.
Cards have different cards have different values depending on how much you have to pay to play the card, right? So the land cards are typically about 1/3 of your deck. So if you keep an opening hand that has only like 1 or 2 lands, you're basically playing that 1 out of 3 roulette wheel every time you draw a new card every turn. And I've just had so many games where I just hit the 0 on that every single time, and then I die with like a bunch of awesome cards that I can't pay for.
So basically you wind up
like life itself.
Kind of, yeah.
So you basically end up playing the game of like being $1 short.
Futurama quote, what kind of world is it where they advertise things not everyone can afford?
Ooh. The real world, my friend.
Oh, that aged gracefully.
Yeah. Some ways they were ahead of their time, in other ways they were not. So, that was the idea. And so Sam Hinkie was like, well, we're going to accomplish this. This is a tear down to the studs rebuild.
The studiest of studs.
And he had branding for it. It was called The Process. And he fielded some of the worst, least talented NBA rosters that like have ever existed.
Like
these teams,
1A field field players
like
in Major League Baseball.
Like teams have tanked before, teams have done teardowns before. That's not new. He was brazen, unapologetic about it. This is our plan. We're going to be the worst team in the NBA. That is our goal this season.
I give him respect for like being like unapologetic about it. Like,
and he was like, yeah, we just need at bats. But so the thing is, his entire reputation and his job security became tied to this notion of constantly tanking for draft picks.
mm-hmm.
And he kept doing this thing where he would trade down to get more draft picks. And then he would also, in the case of both Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, he drafted injured players that weren't going to play that year so that they could keep losing and get more high draft picks.
Or you draft Nerlens Noel.
So this went on for 5 years. And I mean, and again, like he was smart in the sense that it had branding, right? And it like kind of kept fans engaged. And there were like these very like hipstery Sixers fans.
That was during the boom of social media.
Yeah. And, you know, and it was like, oh man, you know, this is so awesome. And like, you know, like his whole thing, it became like the face of like analytics in the NBA and all this like highfalutin like Wall Street math bullshit.
He made losing cool for the fan base.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
He made people cheer losing.
Yeah.
Damn. That's some friggin' psychological shit there.
Yeah, it kind of is like Major League in a way. Like,
Yeah.
wanting the team to lose on purpose.
Yes.
Except they didn't have a wild thing.
Yeah, they didn't. No, he was too busy like doing coke. This is Charlie Sheen after all. Anyway,
Winning.
yeah, God.
Which wasn't a much, but it was a Sixers at that time.
So they ended up with, and I believe Embiid was a first overall pick, right?
Yeah, and he didn't like play for like 2 years.
And he was drafted in 14. Yeah, and I don't think he even played until 16 because of his just horrible knee injuries.
The
that he
legs,
had.
yeah. Because like wasn't it before that or was it before or after him they drafted Nerlens Noel? Well, before all that it was like Michael Carter Williams.
Yep. Yeah, and they did this for like 5 years because this started
Jahlil Okafor.
Yeah, because the 2011 team, if you remember, that was I think Doug Collins was the coach, and they upset the Bulls when Derrick Rose went down.
Yeah, we were number one seed. Yeah, the knee. Yeah, if it wasn't for that,
Yeah.
they get smoked in like at best 5 games.
Yeah, but that happened, and then basically after that was when the team started to tank because they had no talent, and it's true. I mean, they're
purgatory. Yeah,
you know, and again, like I've spent, you know, this is going into our 8th year of me like railing against this, so I feel like this is why we need this added context. They did this for like 5 years, right? Because they didn't really start trying to win until I guess the first year Ben Simmons played, which would have been 17, I want to say.
maybe.
Because they drafted Simmons first overall. This would have been in 16. Hold on.
Yeah, fact check time.
Yeah.
Let's be biased.
Yeah. Pro Basketball Reference.
Mm-hmm.
So Ben Simmons was
6.4 points averaging.
He was drafted first overall in the 2016 NBA draft. Did not make his debut until 2017.
Because he had an injury. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, it seemed at first like they had kind of caught on to something because Embiid was awesome when he played, and then Simmons was awesome when he played.
Yep.
Wow, look at these, by the way, look at these nicknames. Simo the Savage, Young Socialite, Fresh Prince, Peacemaker,
Fresh
Benny,
Prince.
the Yank, Big Ben, and the Wizard of Oz.
I ain't heard of any of those. Big Ben, maybe. But Fresh Prince, that's blasphemy because there's only one Fresh Prince, and that's Will Smith. Peacemaker, there's only Peacemaker, and that's John Cena. Like, Benny, the only Benny that exists is Benny Hill. And Big Ben, Ben Roethlisberger.
I was going to say, yeah, these are all other people's nicknames.
Also, Young Socialite sounds evil.
It does. Also, too, being called Big Yank is never a good thing.
That was when he was on his way out of Philly. Yeah, Big Yank. Get out of here.
I think Big Yank is like what guys in pickup trucks down here call you when they're mad at you.
Oh my god.
But anyway,
Yank.
Oh gosh. Also, that document you just put it, was that like a term paper?
no, this is his letter. This is the Sam Hinkie letter.
He had a letter. Well, at least he was professional.
Yeah, he resigned, blah, 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 blah. He stepped down after 3 seasons of stockpiling draft picks and heavy losses.
Heavy losses. A 1-21 record to start the 2015
Yep.
6. Oh,
Yep.
gosh, I forgot.
That's what it was. Jerry Colangelo was brought in above him, and then... Oh, I think they have the facts wrong here, because I remember Jerry Colangelo being hired before he resigned, and that was a big reason why he resigned, because the NBA put pressure on the 76ers because their losing on purpose was so blatant and so shameless, particularly this 1-21 to start the 2015-16 season.
Also, I wouldn't be surprised if it was wrong because, I mean, AI.
It's Google's AI, yeah. Yeah. So he foresaw his,
He left on his own,
yeah.
quote unquote.
Sam Hinkie and I stepped out into the rain. That's the first sentence of this article.
Wow.
He accepted guidance from Jerry Colangelo, literally sharing power and decision making was never going to fly. Yeah, so that's what I remember is that, they brought in basically because of the NBA pressuring them over how shameless the process was. They brought in Jerry Colangelo to kind of oversee him. And, fair enough. You're like doing your job and then somebody else gets brought in to like rein you in a little bit. You're like, oh, okay, I see where this is going.
Right.
Yeah, so he left the team in 2016, and they had drafted Ben Simmons, and they had
Which was the
drafted
obvious
Joel Embiid.
choice.
Yeah.
And the obvious choice there.
And so a funny thing has happened since then, right? So fans who were like in favor of the process, they get to sort of like forever, they get to go, oh, well, Sam Hinkie didn't get to finish the job, therefore we can't ever really fully say the process was a failure because he didn't get to complete his vision.
But it was on an indefinite loop.
It really is. It's the NBA's like Snyder cut. It's like,
I don't think you want to be compared to him.
Well, the idea of like, oh, well, the original director just didn't get to foresee his vision.
Oh, I'm thinking of Donald Sterling. I'm sorry.
No. This is the Justice League movie. The whole thing where I think it was horrible circumstances. It was like Zack Snyder's like daughter died like during the movie, and so he left the production, and then somebody else finished it, some other famous director. And everybody hated the movie. And so for years and years, people were like clamoring for the Snyder cut, which was like this mythical Zack Snyder envisioned version of the movie that was eventually like put together and did come out and whatever. It still wasn't a very good movie. But at any rate, so like, pro process fans who are like, yes, losing on purpose for 5 years was awesome. And I want to do that again. Are like, well, we can't really evaluate it because he got pushed out. And like other NBA fans, meanwhile, so I mean, the team literally like the high watermark for the team to this point. So I know this piece is really long. So I just want to wrap it up real quick. So the high watermark for the team to this point is like making the second round and losing the like 4 doink game.
Dun.
Go watch that video again, by the way. It's still a classic. Yeah, like they've never made the finals. They've never made the conference finals. And I mean, there's been lots of missteps along the way. So Jerry Colangelo, and then obviously little Nepo baby shit happened where Brian Colangelo then came in and replaced Sam Hinkie, who's Jerry's son.
Yeah.
And then I think Elton Brand was like the interim GM for a while. Oh,
no, he was the actual GM.
Yeah. And then Brian Colangelo had the burner Twitter account, which we also covered, where he was saying awful things and possibly violating HIPAA and all kinds of crazy shit.
That's lovely.
And so he got fired. And then, Elton Brand was like the GM for a little bit. And then at some point, something else happened. And then now Daryl Morey's the GM, which is kind of a weird kind of thing after he got pushed out of his previous job with the Rockets because he pissed off the government of China.
That's some metal shit right there.
Yeah, for literally just making truthful statements, being biased. Obviously, I mean, so like they staked their reputation on Ben Simmons, one, one point guard who can't shoot. Then they got fleeced by Danny Ainge. Instead of drafting Jason Tatum, they drafted Markelle Fultz, another point guard who couldn't shoot.
Remember when we thought Markelle Fultz was the consensus number one
We
pick?
both said, we were both wrong. So, Danny Ainge was on a heater then because he drafted Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown back to back.
And was somehow
with the picks that he traded for after fleecing the Brooklyn Nets.
And he fleeced Cleveland to get Kyrie Irving for a minute.
Yep.
Well, he was a locker room cancer, but to turn Isaiah Thomas, a injured Isaiah Thomas, which they weren't transparent about that. Yeah, that was pretty dirty. And shipped him out and turned him into Kyrie Irving, which was a steal, but turned out to be more trouble than was worth. So yeah, and judging from your face, those are years I think you would like to forget.
Yes.
Oh, somewhere I have a tab open here.
Bird and McHale out walking back in this room.
Oh, God, yeah.
Who was that?
Rick
Pitino.
Oh.
That was that to me was a slap in the face of.
Yeah. No, Rick Pitino.
It'd be
was
like
terrible.
now if they set up and said, "Hey, Brady's retired. You guys need to get over it."
Yeah.
Like we can't sit here and say he was a great player. That what his great contributions to the team were, to all of New England. People. We're always going to have that. We don't need somebody to say, "Hey, get over it." He's not going to come back in the door and save us. Even if that's true. You don't want to hear, and that's when Bird and McHale left, that was Pitino. I freaking hate that guy.
Yeah, so let's just take a look at this. Let's just take a look at this real quick. So starting in 17-18, it was the first year they made the playoffs in the quote process era, unquote. They lost the Eastern Conference semis, then they lost the Eastern Conference semis, then they lost in the Eastern Conference first round, then they lost in the they lost in the semis.
Wait, could you click on it and see?
Oh, 76ers versus Celtics. They lost to the Celtics in 2020. Then they lost in the semis in 2021, and that's Doc Rivers.
Yep.
Then they lost in the semis in 22. Then they lost in the semis in 23. And then they lost in the first round last year with Nick Nurse.
Hey, what was the one with when he passed up the dunk? What year was that?
That was probably 22, 23, or 21, 22. I can't remember. But yeah, Ben Simmons just completely decided that scoring was just not going to be part of his game anymore.
He just didn't want to get fouled and go to the line and break his free throws.
Well, yeah, he never wanted to shoot, and then he just stopped going to the rim. So he just became like a pass first, non-scoring point guard. He was basically, the joke was he was tall Rondo.
Except Rondo knew when to produce, though.
Oh yeah, Rondo would go to the rim.
Yeah.
He at least tried.
Yes.
My point is, we take it to this year, the team is really bad, and they spent all that money on Paul George.
I never understood. I was like, this guy is aging and stuff. Are you serious? I shook my head at that move. I was like,
And I mean, the thing is, Embiid is awesome. Embiid won an MVP, and Embiid, at various times in the last 5 or so years, or really 3 years, has averaged more points than minutes, which is Wilt Chamberlain level shit.
nice.
And it just doesn't matter. The team is bad. His knees are fucked up. He's never getting better than this. He's probably never going to play. I would say he's probably never going to hit the 65 game threshold for awards probably ever again in his career.
Was there something where what didn't they make an agreement that he wouldn't play he wouldn't play every other game or something like that?
I think he already doesn't play back to. He's on the Kawhi regimen now.
Yeah,
he doesn't play back to backs. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that.
Yeah.
There's all these things that he can't do, and crucially, more recently, he's been missing time, and it's there isn't even really a listed injury. It's just he has swelling in his knee.
Yeah.
So basically hockey, lower body injury.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's totally messed up. Anyway, and the rest of the team is bad. Paul George hasn't played much.
Hey, I will. Shout out to Tyrese Maxey and Ubaselli.
Yeah, the only reason the team is still competitive is because they lucked into drafting Tyrese Maxey, who's awesome.
And they picked up Ubaselli, who's having a second chance at the league, who was killing it in the Olympics when we played against France.
Yeah.
Yeah, he dunked on LeBron,
But anyway, all I want to say is I'm taking tremendous pleasure in this because I hate losing on purpose. It's the stupidest thing. It's like, again, it's like Wall Street min-maxing bullshit that is horrible, and I hate it. And the fact that this team is probably never going to accomplish anything significant after all that effort is just so wonderful and such a win for people who just want their team to be fun.
You hit the nail on the head, and everything you said is true. And I'm looking at it too. This is like, this goes beyond just losing on purpose. Like, because it's a tale of two regimes here. It's like, well, it's like a tale of two eras here. You got the process of losing on purpose. You're not winning because you're losing on purpose. But then when you start doing the whole building team, you show that you can't build right. Like, as you mentioned, the missteps. Like, you losing on purpose, and then you're proving you can't build a proper team. Like, let's not forget they chose he was on the perimeter.
Tobias Harris.
It chose Harris over.
They burned a bunch of draft capital on Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler, and then chose to keep Tobias Harris.
So are they and I think if you kept Butler instead, I think you get past at least the second round and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, because if they just let it be Jimmy's team, things would have been different.
It's just those front office decisions time and time again that just ruin this franchise. So it's a tale of two regimes: losing on purpose and then proving that you're incompetent in building a roster,
and then just losing on purpose, and then losing but not on purpose.
Yeah. So
and I think.
This team just sucks.
and I wanted to ask you this, C, because like D and I have had this conversation for so many years, but like, what do you think of like tanking and losing on purpose? Like, is that something like, would you like to see like the Red Sox do that at this point?
I'm against it. I feel like you pay these people to ply their craft. They're $1 million professionals. And when you are a professional and you're getting paid, I think you should go out there to win every game. Period.
So did you have a problem with the Patriots winning their last game of the season though?
I was tested by that. I really was.
I would
love to see them have the first pick, and the game that they won at the end was meaningless, but still I think if they had just tanked it, I think I would have felt bad about it. I do. I don't.
Okay. That's fair.
I do not remember his name. The quarterback that started that game, for the Patriots. What is his name?
Shoot!
He was great.
Yeah,
Milton.
He said after the game, people interviewed him. He said, "What? I'm a professional." He goes, "You think I'm going to go out there and lose on purpose? Any professional athlete?" He goes, he goes, that's just never going to happen. And he showed a lot of heart in that game. I did watch that game.
I think he's already earned the right to be the backup quarterback.
I said that might be the backup.
I think so too. But no, fundamentally, I hate all that. They say, "Oh, this team," and you've seen it in the NFL before. I know for sure. You've seen other teams just what was it? One of the teams a year or two ago, there was some kind of controversy. They said the coach or somebody was paying somebody $100,000 a game to lose. Do you remember that? There was some reporting on that. They were paying the coach.
Oh, yeah. I remember this, but I can't remember the team.
Like the coach said it or something, like after he got canned. I don't remember. But the owner supposedly was paying the coach, or offered the coach $100,000 for every game he would lose. It might have been. I don't remember what team. Might have been Chicago.
No, Flores.
Maybe.
I think it's
Flores. But I don't like the idea. I think if you're a professional, you want to go out there every day and try to win, period.
Brian Flores alleges that Dolphins owner Stephen Ross offered to pay him $100,000 per loss in 2019 in hopes of the securing the number 1 draft pick. That is theguardian.com.
That's what I was talking about right there.
Yeah.
That was 5 years ago.
Yes. And I know a lot of people in New England were upset when they won that game, but I don't agree with it. I don't. Again, Milton, would you? That's his chance, right, to go out there, and he did. He showed what he had.
Balled. I love it. I get my problem was why are you trying to win this game and you didn't show show heart and fight in the other games?
Right. They didn't.
That's the problem I have. You choose now to win,
right?
And it was against a JV team, so there was no workplace morale victory.
And not to belabor that whole situation, but like Mayo. pretty obviously knew he was being fired probably before the game even.
So he pulled a lovey.
So like, yeah, it's like, why did they even let him coach the game? Why not just fire him like that before the game? And then, again, if the plan was to lose the game, then anyway, yeah.
But then at that point, you got guys trying to play for a job next year, like i.e. Joe Milton.
Like, as miserable as the last few years for the Pats have been, like, I don't want to watch this for 5 years.
No.
You? Like,
no, I don't.
That's what I'm saying. Like you don't have to win, but at least go down swinging and let the games be fun.
Yes.
Because remember, like, a bunch of different franchises across different sports have tried this. Basically, the only one that succeeded was the Astros. Because like round about 2012 is when they did their teardown, almost around the same time. And there was that famous Sports Illustrated cover that was at the time in 2012 that was like, or whatever year that was like introducing the 2017 world champions, the Astros, and they did actually win the World Series in 17 after the rebuild.
That's dope.
And it was when they had Bregman and they had Carlos Correa, Altuve, yeah. And Altuve was one of those guys that they developed during the tanking years, right? And he was like learning how to win all that time.
Was he in the minor league system?
No, he was in the majors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing though, like the Astros at one point were good. Like remember like in like late 90s or something like that? I remember they bounced my Braves out and they went to the World Series that one year.
Yeah, they were in a couple of World Series.
So they were good. So like they just had like a gap in between where they were bad. But versus like, okay, this is a team that was just always bad.
But it was a similar level to the 76ers where they tore down and they played all basically minor league players.
But they had a plan
for several years.
But they had an actual plan. And executed said plan.
They also hit on their draft picks, which I guess maybe is proving the point.
That's part of having a plan.
But like the Browns tried it and that failed horribly. And they actually went 0-16.
Did they like throw a parade for that?
I think they did.
I would have. I mean, we're gonna celebrate something.
You'd think that would happen more often in the NFL because you're actually guaranteed a draft pick with how bad you are, right? Like there is no lottery.
But guys are playing for like the other 31 teams. So yeah, you're there, every game is a job interview. Yeah. Like, hey, he quit on his team. Well, can't give him a contract.
Anyway,
yeah,
it's the worst. I hate it, and I hope people just stop doing it.
There you go.
At least that badly. And I mean, the NBA changed the rules. That's the cap on this. Is that the NBA changed it so that the bottom 3 teams have equal chances at the top pick, so there's no incentive anymore for teams to literally bottom out and be the worst.
And they implemented the play-in.
That too, yeah. There's essentially an extra playoff spot now, or 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're still going to be stuck in like, basketball purgatory by being in that spot, but it gives you something to play for instead of like, hey, let's just give up.
Yeah.
So, you want to be the best, you got to play the best.
There you go.
It's true.
Be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo!
Mess with the best, die like the rest.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, yeah, it's great. The 76ers being bad is just a net positive for humanity. Like how the internet's a net negative for humanity.
Yes.
Woo!
So before DeeTalks, how about a quick rehab update?
All right, so check it out, y'all. So
taking it all the way back to time to Achilles heel.
Yeah. So for people, if you haven't listened to like that the Achilles heel, if you're a first time listener or an existing listener, whatever. Just brief recap. Last day of August, tore my Achilles playing pickleball. It was terrible. It sucked. Got surgery like 10 days after that, and then went through rehab. Basically, going from like crutches, with not being able to put no weight on it, and like having like a splint with a heavily wrapped, can't do anything on it, and then go a cast, still can't put anything on it, but hey, it's less cumbersome than a wrap. Then walking in a boot. Still not a normal gait, but hey, I was able to at least walk on it. And then eventually, work on my rehab, and then be able to put a normal shoe on that foot again. And now I'm able to walk. It used to be like me going to rehab once a week, and I've this week I got great news of being able to, with my PT. He said, "Hey, I can go like once every 3 weeks." He's like, okay, he gave me some things to look out for, or some things like a return to running program, which normally assigns to like people who recover from ACL surgeries. But for me, he gave that to me because like, hey, like I made tremendous strides and stuff. I'm able to go up and down stairs again, which I love that, and I've been able to go to the gym again, and continue my strengthening, and also work on some of the exercises and the tips that were given to me in rehab. So doing a continuation of that, because as I pro tip for people who have or who are going through rehab or who will someday go to rehab, do your homework. Always do your homework. Because if you do the math, the amount of work and the amount of time that you have to do that work in the actual facility does not equate to like you maximizing your recovery. So make sure if they give you those exercises at home, do them, because if you don't, they are trained, like it's their profession. They're trained and they're well trained in their craft to recognize that you are fibbing. If you say, "Hey, you doing exercise at home?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm doing them." And then they pull that goniometer out and measure your range of motion, like how much you can move your body part. Oh, that's funny. This should be more than what you're giving me. You really haven't been doing exercise, have you? Nope.
Is it like
they're gonna write in your chart difficult?
No, I don't know.
Is it like when the dentist asks you if you've been flossing?
It's like, dude, you were there last time.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's pretty much that. It's like how many? I mean, it's like with dentists. How many mouths have they seen?
Of course.
So with PT, how many knees have they seen? How many Achilles have they? I mean, Achilles is less common injury, but they've seen them. How many times have they seen that? Like, how many injuries have they seen? They can assess. Like, okay, they know when you are or not doing your work.
And most of the work probably is at home.
It is, because the reason why I'm able to recover fast, like get to the point where I'm at right now, is because I was determined to do the work. Now, did I always do the exercise? No, I was like, just times I got lazy, but in general, I was like, I made sure to do the work because I knew I want to expedite this process as much as I can within reason, without, re-injuring myself, because setbacks is a thing. So also it's a matter of, knowing when to operate within like the training wheels that are put on you, those guardrails. Because you don't, then you wind up like Deshaun Watson and re-injuring your Achilles. So yeah, so that was my main thing, was like, I want to do this and this and this, but my wife's like, no, please don't do that right now. Let's not do that. What did your doctor say? I'm like, they said not to do that. Okay, don't do it then. And then the same thing, I'm like, hey, can I do this? It's like, well, maybe hold off and mow on the lawn right now, because you got an injured body part, and that's uneven ground and stuff. Let's not do that yet. Or hey, no, I don't feel comfortable in you doing steps or any of this stuff here, unless like you're here in the facility where I can watch you. That sort of thing. So it's a matter of having common sense and putting in the work, and the results that you get, you just like with training or anything, you get out what you put in. And the fact that I was able to walk into this building, is a testament to the work that I put in to get back here, because I'm fighting for a lot of things. Like I was fighting for more than just me getting back on the pickleball court. It's me being there for my wife, who was and is a very much a rock star when taking care of me when I'm injured or not, and I want to make sure that that I can walk and everything, so I can help her with the limitation that she had. So it's me just having things to fight for, and that's why I'm at where I'm at right now, and right now. Things are looking great, but I'm not satisfied. I still got my limitations, and I still got a ways to go.
Yeah,
and I'm determined I'm even more determined than ever, especially with the benefits I'm seeing thus far, and I'm ready to keep on going. So yeah, right now I'm walking. I can actually try to jog now, but like on very limited quantities. I can do stairs, and yeah. But it all comes down to I need to still take care of myself, because more activity means more swelling. And I got to go back to make sure that I elevate my leg and ice it, because just taking care of yourself is the key. That's half the battle. Not knowing when to put your foot on the gas and know when to let off of it.
That's true. It's also being a good patient. And
yes.
I've had physical therapy several times, and it works magic, but you have to do what they say.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do because it hurts, but your recovery's been miraculous.
Yeah. So
glad to see it too.
Seeing you several times recently, you're like moving around normally.
You came and visited. You came and visited me when I was like clicking and clacking on crutches.
Yeah, that episode, he recorded that entire episode with like his leg elevated.
Yeah,
and we went to his house because it was kind of too difficult to get over to mine. So yeah.
So you've seen the evolution of from there to here. So yeah.
And I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a fuckhead, but like,
I love that word.
Is that what he had?
He tore his Achilles, and then there was like,
he was so gangster though when he happened. He's like, he stood up like, nah, I'm gonna sit back down. Gently.
No, he was, but I mean, he did so incredibly with his rehab that there was like a question as to like he might have been able to play by the end of that season, and that was like,
if it was a better
whatever
team.
It was, yeah, and the team was eliminated, so they didn't bother. But yeah, I mean, he's an idiot, but like, he at least was miraculous in his recovery, probably because he'd been immunized.
Yep. And that stuff too it's just as much mental as it is physical. It's all about your attitude towards it. And people that have better outcomes are ones that have better attitudes. And that is the absolute truth. I mean, I don't have anything like you have, but I've had injuries and had physical therapy a few times from injuries I got when I was in the military.
Wow.
And physical therapy is great. Just got to do what they say.
Yeah.
We're not robots.
No, we're not. I will say too, like one of the underrated effects about the injury was like just how it impacted the people around me, and how I wanted to be like, okay, I don't want to let these people down. Like these people are supporting me and my lowest point here. Let me try to find a way to get back at. I owe them this. They're sticking their neck out for me to help me along my journey. The least I can do is to make sure that efforts don't go to waste, and that way I can help build that leads to me building myself back.
You owe yourself too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also too, now that you've been through it, you can help other people.
Yeah.
And that's
man.
I've had to talk to a lot of people about like, just stuff I had. It's like, man, you got to stick it out. You got to go and do what they say every day. Yeah. I mean, I had a whole arm that didn't work for a long time.
Jeez. Bro. Phew.
Yeah.
I tell you one thing, I don't want to do this again though. The Achilles
No, this was
give me my arm. I can work with that, but the Achilles,
this was tendon.
I started on hard mode on that one.
Tendon issue down on the elbow, and it was so bad I couldn't squeeze a shampoo bottle.
Ooh,
it's amazing how this stuff is connected. Even something you think minor like that, it's like, it's tough to get old.
Think about how it's the pitchers. I mean, that one little ligament in your elbow, and then nothing works.
Yep.
I just remember being just ticked off because I couldn't take a pee normally or sit down on the toilet normally.
Ooh.
Yeah. That was like things hitting real for me. I was like, okay, I have to rethink everything, and hopefully this doesn't last too long.
Well, wait till you're my age.
Yeah.
I'm 28, by the way.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm 27.
I was actually talking to my wife about this yesterday, and I was like, it was yesterday, and I was like, it was yesterday or the day before, and I was telling how this person, at my job was like, obviously this person was joking, but she was like, oh, I had a birthday, I'm just so old, and this guy, this much older guy was asking her like, how old are you? She's like 26. I'm like, oh my god!
It's like, get away from me, man.
and you know how people be like, yo, like we wish, oh man, we wish we were like 26 again, and I was like, you know what? Like to my wife, I was like, you know what? I wish I had my body as a 26-year-old, but I don't wish to have the income I had as a 26-year-old.
I don't want to be 19 again. I don't want to be 26 again.
Or the wisdom. I will tell you, from getting older, you gain wisdom. You can see bullshit a mile away.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
That I couldn't when I was in my 20s or even in my 30s. And for people that are listening, I did not come into my own in my life until I was in my 40s. People who say, oh, they worry, and I have people in my own family that have worried about their progression in life at an early age, and look, I didn't kind of look around and say, okay, I've got this, until I was in my 40s. Ooh. And that was in my professional career, as a leader in the military and as an artist, nice. all of the different things that I enjoy in life. It wasn't until I was in my 40s, so shouldn't rush it. Mishner wrote his first book. He was in his late 40s. Anyway, that's my rant.
Honestly,
thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
That rant and / TED Talk is exactly what I needed to hear too. So thanks for those words there.
It's not.
You're welcome.
Not everybody progresses at the same rate. Progress is not a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
You go forward, you have setbacks. You go forward, you have setbacks.
There's peaks, there's valleys.
There's a push. There's a push and pull. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. I really try to endorse and embrace a philosophy of balance.
Yeah.
In all things, you're never too high, you're never too low. You're just kind of, there's a give and take. Yeah, there's a give and take in all relationships and all that. Anyway, I'm just kind of rambling now. DeeTalks.
All right. Oh, that was a good segment there.
Ooh, what is our subject today?
Ooh, so yes.
Oh my god.
This is this is like a personal one for me in more ways than one. This topic is called "Show Your Love," and the subtitle is "Tell People You Love Them." And I say this because viewers out there, the listeners out there, all 5 of you.
We have 5 now?
Yeah, I guess so. Huh?
Instead of 2?
Yeah, definitely. You guys on this show have basically been along for this on the ride with us here, just sitting in the back seat as
you've been living life with us for almost 8 years.
Yeah, it'd be me or Dan taking turns, behind the wheel and stuff and driving this vehicle here.
This is great lyrics for a song.
Oh,
yeah, it kind of is.
Dan,
might be save these in a recording process, but
lighten up the mic with some poetry.
On this show, you've seen over the years, because God, it just sounds weird. 7, 8 years of doing this show.
Yeah, July of this year will be the conclusion of our 8th year.
Wow, and July has significance to me in more ways than one. Hey, I have a birthday that month, so yeah, I get older and get closer to the grave, but also that's the same month that has the anniversary of my father's death, and I speak from it because me doing a show, because the people who I knew and loved, in my own family, they had passed away before we started doing the show. But I always just remember I don't know when I started doing this, but growing up, telling people you love them, telling them you love them, verbally, give them a hug or whatever, because you don't know when people are no longer going to be here, and I just me getting I took a lot of bumps with losing family members, and there's one thing that just stuck to me. It was two instances here. One was my grandmother on my father's side. She was recovering from a total joint replacement, and she was recovering at at my at my aunt's place, and for something told me, like, because I was like, yeah, hey, see you later or something. So I'm walking down the hall, getting ready, me and my family getting ready to leave, but something told me to go back to there and tell her, hey, I love you. And turned out those were the last words I said to her, because she passed away soon after. Something that was not foreseen at all.
Yeah.
Death that rocked the whole family tree. And I just wonder, like, okay, what if I didn't say those? What if I didn't say I love you? How would I feel? How would I let that person know how much they especially family, they know you love them.
Yeah.
But like,
it's still nice to hear it.
If it's nice to hear, and it's nice to say it, because you're like, hey, I'm not ashamed to say this. Like, hey, it's not lovey-dovey. It doesn't make you soft or anything. Just tell people you love them, damn it.
Yeah.
And then another instance was like, hey, my grandma on my mom's side, things were not going well with her health-wise. And this was like a little bit different, because it was like, okay, I'm not sure if I should take off work here, but something's telling me to, like, maybe, square it up with my, square it away with my boss. But like, hey, I feel like I can call to go see her, because I don't know what to expect. And she's like, she was real cool. And I need to like send this old boss a text to just thank her for this, because not all bosses are cool like that. Here, you just go ahead.
Yeah.
If you have a feeling, go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
She was I talked to, like, it was like early in the week, talked to her, spending, like, and me and my wife were like before she became my I think it was before she became no, it was after she became my wife. Me and my wife, we join my mom, we go and we spend time with my grandma. And and they tell her, hey, love you and all that stuff. And like, so she's coherent and she's able to hear us and interact with us and stuff. Literally the next day she fell into a coma. And then later on that week she passed away. So again, being there to show my appreciation, show my love, and being there for a loved one and letting them know how much they mean in my life. Because you just don't know when someone's day is going to be their last. And there's people that there's people that I've known, and just family and friends. It's just like, you wish you could have like spent more time with them, or said more words, or said more reassuring words, saying, hey, like, haven't heard from you in a while. Hey, how you doing? Are you okay? Hey, man, like, I appreciate you, and like, I appreciate what you being in my life, man. Hey, I love you. And letting people know that, because you don't know what people are going through. Because sometimes you need those words of affirmation.
Yeah. Yep.
And and sometimes those words matter. Sometimes they won't matter. But the fact is, always being there to show your appreciation for people, because we don't know where people are at in their life, what their mindset is, and also we don't know if it's a guarantee that we're going to see them the next day. Because so it's like, don't want to be morbid, but like, sometimes you gotta live or interact with people as if this day is going to be your last, or if their day is going to be their last.
Yes, that's true.
So it's just, and we're in like a culture where, especially with men, it's less taboo than it used to be, but it's still like a taboo of like, hey, saying I love you. It's like, sure, like, people get taboo of like you saying I love you to like your spouse.
Yeah.
Like,
well, those people are just weird.
Yeah.
Those people are just weird.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
But you know
stupid.
Yeah.
But you know what? Even the, like, toughest, most macho hombres out there, they all love their mom.
Well, of course they do.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah.
Yes. The thing about this, like, society we have now is everything is about things. And falling into that same thing. You show people you love them by what is the best thing you can do for somebody that you love them? You buy them something, or you can give them your time. That's something I've learned too as I've aged. It's your time is the most important thing you can give somebody. That shows them every day, right? Like, I was raised by, I'm not going to get into all this about my parents, but my parents didn't have a lot of time to spend with me, and so no, they were great parents, but I didn't have a lot of that. So when I became a father, I decided early on, I'm going to spend time with my kids. You know, and our circumstances, being a military family and moving around, we did get to spend a lot of time together. And I think I hope, you know, whatever, someday if they remember anything about me is that, hey, you know, my dad spent time with me, you know, whatever, as much like as possible. And stuff. And it all comes back to all this sports too. You know, I have a son and I have a daughter, and my son and I connect on many things, but we connect a lot on sports. That was our thing.
That was me and my dad's thing.
Yeah, that was our thing. And so I have memories of years of you know, sitting, hey Dan, get the room ready, you know, whatever. And Dan was
Sunday afternoons
the
on the
technical
couch.
expert. He'd get the game queued up. I'd get the snacks.
Get the remote with the cheerleader on it.
We had the
all that stuff. But that's time. That's time you spend with somebody. I can count on my left hand how many days like that I had with my own father. Right. And then he died. He was dead at 56. So I didn't have the time. Once he was gone, you don't have it anymore. It's gone forever. Just like you said. My daughter, I connected with her in different ways with other things that she loves, photography and movies. And she has the same kind of a sick sense of humor that I have.
Oh God, that's so true.
That is true. She's a mini me as far as personality
You
goes.
ain't fall off the branch.
Bathroom
man.
humor and all that's my daughter. But anyway, I just wanted to you can love people, whatever. This society we have today, it's all about things.
Oh.
Everyone wants things. Hey, I want things. But the best gift you can give your children or your friends or other people you care about is your time. If you give them your time, you don't even give them anything else. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yes, I agree with that because, you know, my father passed away, you know, 1 year less than the age of your father, and I used to think I used to take time for granted. Because we all just assume like, hey, you're young, hey, you're fit, or hey, there's nothing seem like you having like an issue health-wise or anything like that. You're going to be here a long time. You're going to be here till you're really old and stuff like that. So we'll have plenty of time to catch up and stuff. And I thought my dad was a superhero. And, you know, instead he died in my early 20s. Right. So, and it's just like.
See, me too. I lost my dad when I was 25.
So I was just like, damn. This wasn't supposed to be this way. I thought you were supposed to be here, like, you know, for when I got married and like had my first kid and all that stuff. But then sometimes life just like says, you know, gives you like a middle finger and just like, hey, well, deal with it, man. So yes, showing people you love them, tell them that you love them, telling that you value their presence in your life, and giving them your time. So yes. So telling them you love them and showing them that you love them.
And I mean,
go ahead.
Something I was going to bring up is
it's all you.
It's not just death either. Like,
yeah,
life for me anyway. I think of life as occurring in seasons, and seasons, except it's not cyclical really in the same way that, like, you know, you can predict when spring is coming. It's more like,
that's what my wife tells me. Like, sometimes you go through seasons.
Things come, things go. Mm-hmm. There's always, you know, again, you know, there's the parable or the whatever that is, the parable of the king who's like, he summons his smartest advisors to give him like the secret of happiness, and the advisor goes and just whispers in his ear, "This too shall pass."
Yeah,
and it's a double-edged sword, right? Because when you're down, this too shall pass, but when you're up, this too shall pass.
That's right.
Yeah,
it's the only thing that's always true. And so, I mean, yeah, people come and go, people cycle out of your life.
Yeah.
For any number of different reasons.
Just life.
You drift apart.
Yeah.
You have a falling out. Who knows?
Yeah.
And,
yeah,
you know, rather than being like busted up about it after the fact, you know, just appreciate it while it's there.
Yeah.
You know, and enjoy the memories afterwards.
Yes. Because the memories is all you have once it's gone.
Yeah, you're not, and I mean, I guess things you can have afterwards, but like,
things you can't be buried with. Well, you can be buried with your things, but you can't take things when you're gone.
You can be buried.
My Xbox 360 is coming with me.
You can be buried with the guitar.
Put that in the will and make it happen.
Right.
You can, in fact, be buried with the guitar from the cover of Van Halen 3.
That is true.
As Dime was.
Ooh, didn't know that.
Yeah. His idol was Eddie Van Halen, and Eddie showed up at his funeral with that guitar and put it in the casket with him.
That is like so you talking about like just a bookend.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's really important to show that, and I mean, it's the love languages too, right?
Yes.
Like, physical touch, but
words of affirmation,
there's all different flavors of it. There's words and there's quality time. And that's always been my big one is like, legitimately like, all those Sunday afternoons that we had on the couch all those years, like the Patriots could have been the worst team in the NFL every single one of those years. And that time would not mean any less to me because it was the time is what mattered.
I notice it now. Like I love football and I love sports, but it's like not the same when I go into my man cave at home and sit in front of my 60-inch TV and I sit there by myself. It's just not, it's not that it isn't enjoyable. It's just the talk back and forth that we would have. I remember watching the Red Sox win their first championship, and that wasn't their first, but their first in '86.
The first in either of our
I remember that I watched it with Dan sitting next to me, and what a moment that was. I remember in a cold winter night in Kodiak, Alaska.
Ooh.
Watching the Patriots in 2001, we all stood up and stood in front of the TV and held hands as Vinatieri kicked that field goal through against the Rams. And it was like something I never thought I would see in my life. And
I remember we dogpiled in the middle of the
did, and it was like I got to spend those times with my kids, and I was like, I can't imagine doing this with my father, so
I had the blessing to enjoy that Super Bowl with my father because his team was the opposing team.
Well, he was a Rams fan.
Oh yes, and the thing was what made it awesome. Because another thing too, like downstairs. That's when you was there that one year.
Yeah.
You and my eventual wife. That was how we enjoyed our Super Bowls downstairs before the HD.
Right.
With that big tube. Like we decked out the whole basement with our gear and stuff. We had my grandparents in, like his mom and dad, his sister, my cousin. We were, and they saw us taking turns just yelling at and cheering at the TV and stuff. And regardless of who won,
Ricky Pearl touchdowns.
Yes, and then whoever won that game, it was like no one was going to be sad about any. Be like upset that the team didn't, our team didn't, one of our teams didn't win, but the fact that one of our teams was going to win, and just how, like he used to say, how very seldom that happens, if ever happens, a father and son Super Bowl. No. And that right there is time that I can never, like, that I will cherish forever.
Yep.
And that was just absolutely awesome. And then also when going back to with you and my wife being there, we watched the
I was going to say
Seahawks.
I wanted to say that that's one of the happiest like moments that I ever shared with you is going over to your house, watching that game in the basement.
Me about to have an aneurysm in my
and I was freaking out about that one.
Watch Seattle drive down the field.
Fourth receiver on the Seahawks having 200 yards.
Chris Matthews.
The catch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Lock it up. Chris Matthews was
happening again.
Name, yeah.
And then
another helmet catch.
And then dogpiling on the floor after the interception.
Yes. And like it also we had the choice to watch it on HD upstairs. Yep. But just to be like to make sure it was like a community thing and stuff, it was like we're gonna watch this in standard definition, so we have room to sit down and enjoy it, and just having the community was more than just ever being able to see it with that HD clarity. Yep. So again, it's that community and then that quality time that I can look back on forever. So my goodness, man, like
it's good. You think back on bad things that happen, whatever, and you think of like who who spoke to you, or who took a minute to say, "Hey, how you doing?" or like, whatever. Those are the things I remember now that I'm old. You think back. I remember like when my mother died, who reached out to me.
Yes.
People, and it's often people that you don't automatically, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I had a friend who I hadn't seen in years, and he just found out about it through, I don't know how he found out about it. He called me instantly, and he came to the service. He drove almost 200 miles. And that means like so much to me, It's just like stuff like that. Anyway, when I say like about time, it's going to be in many ways, but people have a tendency when bad things happen to want to stay away. They're like, I don't want to intrude. Or I had a friend who lost 3 sons in a car wreck. Okay.
Damn.
This is when I was in Alaska. And one of the advices they gave us is they said, don't like stay away. People have a tendency to want to stay away when bad things happen. It's better to just reach out. And if they don't want to, that's fine, but you should at least try to reach out and make a human connection to people. Again, yes.
Oh, no.
When my mother passed away, I remember who reached out to me, my father. I have a brother who will call me just out of the blue. Hey, bro, how you doing? Like, what's going on? Oh, Patriots suck this year. I have the same conversations with him as I do with you guys. But yes, you're absolutely right. That shows love, even though without saying love. We're all human beings.
Yeah.
And it's worth it. Here's some advice I'm going to give for anyone who's listening to this. Think of someone. It doesn't have to be everyone, just one person.
Yes.
That you care about, that you, whatever, a friend, your spouse, your parent, your sibling, whoever, your kid, I don't know. Just shoot them a message right now and just, hey, what's up? Love you. Hope you're having a good day. Whatever.
Wow, my phone just blew up.
Yeah, just something that expresses that you care and that, they mean something to you. And I can almost guarantee you that nobody is ever going to be sad or unhappy to receive that message.
I texted my wife just now, so.
There you go. Yeah, I think that to put a bow on this whole thing, that's even that is an expression of your time. It took time to write them. I don't know. Texting somebody takes 5 seconds, but whatever. It's still some of your time. It's effort. It's energy expended.
Yep.
And all of that stuff matters.
Yes.
And it matters much more than like the energy you expend on, I don't know, like fixing your computer or whatever.
Yes.
Or making poor draft choices. On fantasy football.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I suck at fantasy football. You guys have to help me. I don't.
Well, I will say too. One more thing too, like just showing people that you love them and that you value them. And this is something that I struggle with, and you see me experience this, Dan. And you mentioned this too, like, and I'm thinking like on the flip side of this, what you mentioned too. See, like people like, hey, don't want to intrude when someone's like going through things and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like, what if you're the person that's going through things? I tend to be reclusive, and I don't want be like, hey, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum or something, or I just want to just like isolate.
I hate feeling like a bummer. So 100%.
So like it also goes in like, hey, like telling people you love them and so that, but like also saying like, hey, I love you. Hey, like I need help. I love you in the point where I'm asking for your help or your guidance. So that's another way to show you love. Like, hey, you are needed in my life, or I want you to be part of my life during this journey of me trying to get out this funk or this rut. Or when I'm going through this tough time in my in this journey, I want you to be part of this journey with me as I progress on through. So yeah, telling people you love them and not be afraid to ask for help. So
learning how to do that and learning that it's okay to do that is like part of growing up.
Yep.
Yes.
Sure is.
That's where that wisdom comes in.
And
takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
I went through a phase where I did that way too much, and then I went through a phase where I did it way too little.
Yeah.
And like all things, balance.
I appreciate you guys having me on again.
Yes, by all means. Hey, just in case, like I have to borrow this like from people like from like YouTube channels and other podcasts I listen to. Like, you have the floor. Like, tell us what you've been up to. Like, just if
anything you want to plug.
Yeah.
Anything I want to plug? Well, let me start with what have I been up
Toaster.
to? What have I been up to? I work a lot. I work for the U.S. government.
He's not a play. He just works a lot.
Enough about that. And when I'm not working, I have been working on my house. So I'm doing a lot of renovations in my house. I recently
you go.
installed a new fireplace.
That's dope.
And I built a fireplace surround out of some stone tile and some oak lumber. So it came out really well. Trying to upgrade the house a little bit.
So you're gonna be on sponsor? You're gonna be sponsoring the next one of the next episodes, like HGTV or something?
Absolutely, and I'm gonna actually start my own podcast.
You can.
I'm gonna be like Dad Fixes Stuff. This is my idea that I've had. Dad Fixes Stuff, and people. Every week I'll fix something and people can watch and learn. Yeah. No, anyway, I've been working a lot of my house.
That. People will buy that.
That would be a successful YouTube.
Yeah.
Yes.
It would.
Plus, you have a great personality too. You're in, man.
There's a company that's like Rent-A-Dad. I saw this and I was like, what is it? And I looked into it and it's like, well, for people who like need things or you need like advice. And I was like, that's kind of sad, in a way. But I mean, I lost my dad young too, so I can understand,
Yeah.
But anyway, so
Rent a dad, throw a pigskin around with somebody.
yeah, it's like, can we have a cat?
Catch.
Go, no. Oh, don't even talk about that movie. I'll need tissues.
Oh, man.
Anyway, yeah.
Ooh,
So I've been.
What movie is this?
Field of Dreams.
Ooh.
I have been.
Yes,
Well, yes, working on my house and then working at my job and then trying to get through the holidays. And I am a photographer, an amateur photographer on the side. www.coastalviewsphoto.com. That's my website. I'm not running a business right now. I'm just taking pictures and sharing them with the world, trying to push some positivity out there. I call them timeline cleansers.
Yes,
it's a lot of BS in the world right now, and let's just say that it's much
That's
better
premium.
for people to look at art and see the world as a beautiful place than the alternate to that. So anyway, yes, I have.
Free yourself from your algorithms.
I have a job where I sit in front of a computer all day long, and it's very technical. I'm an analyst, and
You like Charles Barkley?
yes, and it's very nice to have something complete opposite, where I can just get out with the camera, shoot pictures. It gives me an excuse to travel. And
You travel too. I'd be like, I wish I could be like, just ride shotgun with you. I'd be like, hey, let's go.
Let's go, man. I love to photograph New England and all over, but I'm going to be doing more of that. I'm going to be doing more of that in the future. So anyway, that's pretty much what I've been doing, and that's my plug. Coastal Views Photography.
And also dvdcastpie@gmail.com.
Oh yeah, we haven't
That
talked
email.
about this. So to sum up sort of our recent programming notes. So my slogan for 2025 is "Do not comply." I am in the work. We are in the works for extricating ourselves from Spotify.
Yeah.
Only 3% of our downloads basically ever have come from Spotify. So we're gonna get off Spotify for the reason of, I'm just gonna say, standing up for our principles.
Also, YouTube and Apple podcasts are free, and if you don't want ads, like for I don't know if they still do this, but like if you get YouTube Premium, like for me and my wife, YouTube Music was thrown in free, so you can avoid Spotify altogether.
We don't tweet anymore. We don't do any of that crap. We do have a Blue Sky. Don't go there. We don't post on it. Old-fashioned email, dvdcastpod@gmail.com. If you want to talk to us, I can't promise that your shit will be read on the show, especially if it's weird. But actually, frankly, if it's weird, it has a much higher chance of being read on the show. I'm just going to put that out there.
Well, you're going to get some emails from me.
I am working on new music.
You're doing the damn
It's
thing.
taken a while. I started last April.
Yeah, but he's
so-
cooking though. He's been cooking.
And this is me throwing my hat over the wall and having to go get it. I'm working on another podcast.
Ooh.
It's an old project that has kind of risen from the dead.
Do I know about? I think you mentioned this one.
Yeah. I've told a number of people about it. It's a fiction writing, creative writing project.
You should write a book someday.
I tried years ago and it didn't go so well.
Really?
I started writing one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just a deep dive into my career.
Ooh.
My military career and how I started and where it took me, both physically and otherwise, and where I ended up in the end. It's a few interesting stories, some anecdotes, a lot of funny stuff, Life in the military can be freaking hilarious. But anyway, most of those journeys were about the people that I served with while I was in the military.
That's a brotherhood.
Extremely dedicated people that love their country.
This has been so much fun. I love you both so much, and I enjoy this. I never want to stop doing it. It's the best thing ever.
Talk about
And,
memories.
Yeah, right. We just spent 3 hours of, taking time and offering our time to each other. So, and to all of you. So that is us in effect to you listeners, showing you that we care about you too.
We love you guys. And hey, Dan, C, I love you guys.
Love you too.
Because I tell you, like, it was just like, experiencing like life burnout and stuff like that. I'm just like, do I feel like doing like a podcast or something? Then I was like, oh wait, no, like my buddy here and also C is here. Like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do a Boston Bra again. So
Of course,
let's go, let's do this.
You
thing.
know, whenever I'm in town, it's like a party.
Yeah.
It's always a party.
Yeah.
All right. I think we built it up.
Oh, wait.
I forgot.
Yes, I remember this time.
We have to say it every time. It's my sign off. I wish I could just hug you all, but I'm not gonna.
But someday he will.
He will.
Woo! Later.
It was after they lost the NFC Championship to the 76ers. to the 40-76ers.
That'd be the name of the episode.
Yeah. No. NVIDIA starts sponsoring NFL teams, so it's the San Francisco 5080s. No. It's the San Francisco 4090s.
Oh,
RTX 4090s.
Oh, Foodie, you did it.
Damn.
I've been cooking. I've been in the lab with a pen and a pad trying to get the stamp label off.
Yes. If you have like a label, man, I would love to. I would go to like business school and be a manager for your business for your label. And watch he makes me eat those words. I'd be like Lieutenant Dan and be like Forrest's first shipmate. I think he gave himself half those nicknames.
Probably.
Yeah.
I want to give myself some nicknames.
What nicknames you have in mind, by the way?
Maverick.
Okay, Sam.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
You look like a Maverick, man. You look like you just like, yeah. It's like, you just wait till my pal Maverick comes in. He'll show you what time it is.
He's wealthy. He can just kind of pay whatever fines they give him or whatever.
So he's like the Who light.
Yeah.
He's like the Who light.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's like the NBA's Keith Moon.